Welcome to, you know what it is, JBC.
Just bro shopping.
Yeah, man, we're glad to be back once again. Been a little while, and how you doing, bro? By the way, it's been a minute. How you been traveling? Doing anything?
Nah, I'm trying to change, laying low, enjoying this weather change. And,
Oh yeah,
I'm going to tell you something right now. I looked at my electricity bill. This is my favorite time of year because I'm not using too much heat, not using too much AC.
yeah.
My electricity bill was under $100. Oh, I
That
feel like I
in
got a
between
bonus.
time, I know mine last month was under 100. I ran and paid it real fast
Yeah.
before it gets back to 215 or something like that.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
go ahead. But man, it's and that's that's a good thing. But the way you attack that problem is like, look, okay, do this now because I know this is coming later. It's like I'm not waiting on the hard times. I'm preparing for them now, knowing that they are soon to come.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's when I want people to look at the way this show is spelled because it's called the morning after.
Hmm.
But I put moaning because that's how we feel after we done drank too much one night.
Yeah.
Or if you got a little loose and you and your little lady friend, y'all get together and you just raw dog in it, and she say, "Hey, you know that night," and you be like, "Oh," but it was so funny that happened to me along the way. But this is in the early '90s,
Hmm.
late early 2000s. But I remember they didn't have this thing called a morning after pill.
No, back then you just it is what it was.
So you had to deal with the situation, and this was before the Roe v. Wade thing was overturned. So this is at a time where either you had some moral discipline or
Hmm.
you just was rolling with your flesh.
Dancing
Oh,
in fire, dancing with fire.
and see, I've been guilty. So let me before the PB, I'm guilty. Yes, I missed the morning after pill.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
I ain't
How
even
was
say
it?
no more.
Yeah, yeah.
But needless to say, when the question I'm thinking is, how do we deal with decisions that we make
Hmm.
after we've made them and we see that it might not have been the best choice in our lives? How do you
Hmm.
how do you not undo it? How do you handle the morning after?
Yeah. How do you react? How do you respond to it?
Key.
How do you respond to it?
What you just said before you even get there, if you guys can pause and just listen, he said react or respond. React means it's a emotional thing
Hmm.
based upon something that happened to you, internally or externally. And versus respond means let me think, then act.
Exactly.
Now, what were you going to say about that? That
You, you just nailed it. I mean, like the reaction is the emotion, and that's a human thing. We all feel it, and if you don't feel it, that's not a good thing because that's a whole nother level right there. Of unhealthiness. So it's a healthy thing to feel, but because it's a guide. It lets us know that something needs to be done. And the thing about it is, something needs to be done. Keep in fact that like you are in control of your response. Your reaction, you may not be in control of it, but you can control how you respond.
yeah.
So to
And,
piggyback off what you said, like what do you do? Like how do you respond to
and
life when it hits you?
the key word, and cause just because I love being a linguist, when you say the word respond, when you say re, just take the re off and you have SPOND, but take the RES off and just have POND. That's real close to the
Mm.
word pound, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
Pound is a form of weight.
Exactly.
So when you weigh something out, should I, should I
Mm.
not? You're
Exactly.
weighing out the choices and the decisions and possible outcomes.
Exactly.
The thing that prompted this topic was when I watched the results of the election a few weeks ago and how people were reacting, some were responding.
Exactly.
And I'm looking at now, 2 weeks later, some people are having regrets so quickly.
I've seen that. Very interesting. With their selection choice.
Yeah, but they made the choice. But
They
it's like
respond. Hmm.
we're talking about adults who are 18 or above, almost 80 something, who have some quote unquote knowledge of the political system.
Uh huh.
And Lord knows, this is what hit me the other day. You can tell the difference between a lie and a truth. I don't think anyone, unless you just plain just out of touch. Now, you may not acknowledge what a lie is and the truth is. You may not acknowledge what it may do to you in the future, but it's still going to do what it's going to do. So I'm
Exactly.
like, what do we do? Um, have you ever been in a situation where when you woke up the morning after you regretted something? I mean, we
Absolutely.
all have, but I mean, can you recall a moment?
Oh, absolutely. And, full transparency, we're all adults and we're going to have adults that I'm sure are going to relate. Yes, there have been times when I have, just to kind of talk about, I've consumed too much alcohol,
Okay.
college days, and I wake up and, I'm sitting there in the moment, and I'm like, oh, this feels good, I can handle another, and, I can handle another too. And hell, I'm already at it. This tastes good. I'm gonna stay around and talk about, good conversation. While I'm here, I may as well have another. Next thing you know, uh, Earl comes home,
Yeah.
Earl comes knocking at the door and says, hey, you got to pay up, buddy.
Yeah.
And I get sick. And, the next morning, feeling like crap, So, yeah, there's been times I've woken up with regret. And, how I respond to that is, and I've done it several times before, and we are, we are, works in progress. You wake up in the morning, I'm like, man, I gotta stop this. I gotta
Mm-hmm.
stop this,
Yeah.
And then we are human, and I'll do it again. But then, after a while, you get to the point where it's like, you know what, I need to handle myself, think about my body, my well-being,
Oh yeah.
health, all that stuff, and make better choices. Make better.
And, but it goes to that word that I think you and I be keep coming up in our discussions as we chopping choices, and I just really am at a point where so many of us have made choices in our lives. Go to college, move to this city, marry this person,
Mm-hmm.
choose this lifestyle, to consume this drug, to not consume this drug, to consume this church, to read this book, to not. We've decided what we want in us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have made several bad choices. And the morning after, oh, regret was the first thing. But I think what happened to me is I got tired of the regret part because it was like, what could I do in the front of this to stop this back end treatment? I don't like it.
Yeah.
What can I do? And so I started changing my behaviors, my attitudes, and started moving differently, thinking about my choices. And it goes back to a word we start off with intentionality. That's the first thing I'm
Exactly.
going to talk to my people about today. What does
Mm-hmm.
being intentional mean to you?
Intention is like, just to me, intention is like having focus, taking control, like taking an inventory, like you said before, taking an inventory of what's going on. Where do you want to be? How are you going to get there? Calculating all of that. And then once you have that focus, you have to create a path to get there. And creating that path to get there requires intention, like your focus, your laser beam focus on getting there. Intent, moving with intent, with purpose. So basically moving with purpose.
That's it. And see, there was a quote that I would use back in the days, and it said, "Your intention determines your attention." What you're intently when you wake up in the morning, that's how we're gonna start, family. When you wake up in the morning, what is your first thought that hits your mind? Is it a prayer? Is it a regret? Is it a mantra? What is it your first intentional thing you do? And then the rest of your day kind of unfolds by that first intentional act. And because when we're talking about it, bro, I was watching some other YouTube pastors or people that I watch, and I caught something that they were doing that really kind of irked my spirit. So that's why this show is kind of like, look, we done made some choices. We got to move on.
Hmm.
We were talking about so many things and slavery and this and that, and it happened, traumatic. But we would sit back playing a blame game. I don't knock anybody, my brother. But here's the thing about it: the Father that we're talking about, that you're intentional about, He didn't say those people would free you. He didn't say those people would pay you for slavery. He didn't say those people would. He didn't say they would do anything.
Exactly.
See that? So that day that the election happened, my mind, just talking about me, family, my intention was, I don't care what they do. My intention is on what He said He's going to do in the earth
Exactly.
with those of us who ain't getting caught up into the monkey ring.
Mm-hmm.
You're
The
not jumping
reaction.
back, so intentionality is something that's very key. And that's another one I'm going to ask you about. Priorities. How do you set your priorities? Because they weren't always as holistic as they sound now. And people know that you've been through some things, but how did you get your priorities to take from being a teenager just wilding out, losing his dad, trying to figure out, how did you
Yeah.
get the priorities in motion?
It took you know, I guess the best way I can put it is being in a boat. I feel like being in a boat without a paddle. Without a paddle, you're bumping into, you're going with the flow, with not in a positive way, but you're just going. Life is carrying you.
To and fro is to and
Yeah, life is carrying you. But after a while, I saw things that I wanted. I want to go there in that direction, but I didn't have a paddle, so I thought, you know. And so I'm just going, hoping the wind carries me. After a while, I'm like, you know what, this is not right. So I look, and I realize, I do have tools here. I have a paddle here, so I can kind of like, direct my path to get to those places that I want to get to. And with that paddle, I can prioritize, how long I'm going to paddle this day, how much force I'm going to go, at which point I'm going to paddle because the wind's going to blow, so like you take control by, like seeing where you want to be. And, again, like you said, take those inventory and intentionally make moves to get there.
and priorities are not things that we have been necessarily taught in any class or race. I'm not going to say it's because our priorities we were taught to get married, have 2 kids, build a pension, pay your taxes, live.
Right. And work.
There's no growth in that. There's just a motion in it, but the motion is horizontal at all times. See, in
Exactly.
order to Him, He says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and His righteousness. Then it goes to what you said. He'll give you the directions to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And see, then you begin to move with a purpose without just flailing like a bird in the wind, like, hey man, I don't know where I'm going, but the wind gonna
Yeah.
blow me and I'm gonna end up someplace and I'm
Hopefully.
good.
Right.
No, you cannot let life, I'm good.
Yeah.
A lot of us put our whole hope into that day, hoping that we would have a African American female as a president. They put every amount of their energy and hope into that. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, what are their priorities?
Right.
Were they intentional? And if they were intentional, why is that your priority? And what happens when it doesn't occur?
Yeah. How do you react to that?
Or do you
Yeah.
respond?
Yeah.
See, it's a, I'm going to use a fancy word with my family. It's a modality of thinking. Mode means how you move. So when we set priorities, here's what I'm going to tell them. First of all, you need to first sit down and think about what's important and write them down. And when you write them down, you can then maybe put them in categories, okay? And once
Mm-hmm.
you get them in categories, you can say, well, how do I attack? And attack one category at a time. Don't do too much. Because I'll share something with you. When we start doing one thing in this emotional intelligence direction,
Mm-hmm.
it fixes the rest of everything else.
Uh,
See, that's what the church didn't tell you. It's like when you start working on love, guess what He
mm-hmm.
fixes? He fixes compassion. He fixes kindness. He
Yeah.
fixes long suffering. Oh, well, let's say you're working on faith. Well, He's going to fix hope. He's going to fix love. You see, once you're
Yeah.
working on one thing, it's inclusive.
Exactly. So what you're saying is, so like if you work on one thing, it it creates the path for everything else.
I can sit back. The show's over with. We ain't got to do another show, bro. I mean, if you
Yeah.
literally think about this in our lives,
Yeah.
a lot of people will go to a church or a synagogue or a temple or some particular individual who will give them some instructions, directions, but he gives it for a mass. He doesn't give it for the individual. How can you? So here
Mm.
we are saying, look, seek ye first. When you start seeking, that means you're intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Then your purpose begins to set in, and your priorities now are daily woven. And the last but not least is you get a discipline. How
Exactly.
do you get discipline if you've never had it? That's the question I have for
Oh,
you.
nice. Wow, that's a tough one. You know what? You said it. If you don't have it, you have to seek ye first. Because if there's no model that you have, and it wasn't taught to you, you don't know where to start. You know, you have to want it, you have to desire it, and you have to ask the Almighty to provide that path for you. You know.
and not be the biggest thing is, and this is when my when Dad stopped. I guess he got tired of giving me spankings or beatings or whatever they want to call them now. But it was like when he realized that the physical thing was not working on the mental thing because I had learned to suppress. And so he began, that's when he strategically, I remember I was a ninth grade in high school. He stopped with that. He started doing other things. He started taking things from me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the taking lasted maybe a month. Well, those 4 weeks were terrible. Riding the bus or whatever the hell I had to do. But I was like, I didn't like that. So he
Yeah,
began to diss me in another way. And
right.
after a while, I didn't like either forms of discipline. So guess what I started doing?
Get in line.
Bam.
Get in line. Yeah, he pulled a stunt like that with me too. He did that with all of us. Like, it was one of them things, he learned that he was focused because he also paid attention to his, disciplining style because like you said, once he realized that that wasn't working, he's like, let me try something else, So he course corrected as well. And he did the same thing with me. I love music. The band was, oh, you know. And so I never forget one time I cut school in eighth grade. He got wind of it. You know, he did what fathers do. Back in the day. Got me right. So after a while, I maybe ninth, 10th grade. I'm sitting there playing around and didn't come home. I was out with my friend Mel, or whatever, at the mall. But I didn't say that I was going to the mall. I came back late, like just enough time to get ready to go to the game. This was a Friday. I was supposed to be home, 3:30 or whatever. Got home right around 6. There's no cell phones, nothing back then. I get home thinking, okay, I'm gonna get home. You get ready for, go to the game, whatever. I thought, Dad's gonna be upset. He's like, hey, what's going on, son? Oh, not much. Oh, you're not mad? Shoot, okay. You know how he does. He played horrible mind games. Horrible mind games.
Yes.
Torturous. So he tells me, yeah, so you didn't say anything. You didn't call and say that you were, could pick up a payphone and said you wasn't, you gonna hang out with your friends. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, okay. Well, you got a game tonight, right? Yes, sir. Yeah, you're gonna go, but you're not gonna play. What? You heard me.
Humiliation.
Yeah, humiliation. He said, oh, we're gonna go to the game, but you're not gonna play. He waited. He went to the game. Purposely walked over to the band section. He played Mr. Harvey, had his relationship with Mr. Harvey. Walked me over with him. Said, no, you coming with me. In front of the entire band, goes over to Mr. Harvey, tells Mr. Harvey, yeah, he's not gonna play today. He didn't come home on time. Mr. Harvey looked at me with this smirk, shook his head. And all my friends looked at me like, Twan, why you not playing? So that humiliation factor, he was good at that. But you know what? That was the last time he ever had to say anything to me.
Right.
Ever. Ever.
But see, so many of us, as adults, young adults, middle age, wherever we are, we've already been disciplined more than once by the Heavenly Father. Let me just say that. Anyone out here who's breathing, who has life, you have been disciplined by him, and it wasn't a physical thing. It was but how long it lasted.
Mm-hmm.
That was how he got me. It wasn't like, oh, see that little spanking, it's over with in about 5, 10 minutes. 30 minutes later, you back outside
You're
playing.
good. Yeah.
You take
Mm-hmm.
my car for a month, okay, I deal for a month. I know I'll get it back.
You
See,
get it back. Right.
with the Heavenly Father, you don't know when you're gonna get it back.
That's the problem.
Right. And see me, I stopped. I stopped. I didn't like things being taken because I figured I did that enough as a teenager and a youth. At some point,
Right.
I need to grow up.
Right.
See, it was intentional with my thought. And then what I had to do was put in some practices that would help me to be intentional. See, I can't
Mm-hmm.
just do it on my own. I know I was weak.
Right.
I'm weak. You just tell
Right.
me. I love women.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
love alcohol. I love all the things that everybody else loves. I
Yeah.
just know if I consume too much, it won't do me any heavenly good, not earthly
Right.
good, heavenly good, because I'm not working to earn something here. See, that's the whole point. So when we talk about it, here's how we can culminate it. With your intentions and your priorities and discipline, what happens is you don't have to worry about no moaning after.
No
there's
moaning
no,
after.
there's
Yeah.
no, there's no downtime. There's that verse where it
Exactly.
said joy comes in the moaning.
The moaning. The
See,
moaning.
moaning in the morning is not what we want. We want joy in the morning.
Exactly.
And so set your intentions, come up with your priorities, and understand that discipline just helps you to have a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
That was what I want to say, and I pray that what we do, because I want to make sure that on this show we separate ourselves from any pastors and anything of that nature because we're not with the same intent.
Right.
Our
Exactly.
intent is to give you practical steps to apply that lead to heavenly results if you just do these earthly things.
Exactly.
See, they told us you got to go to church, you got to pay this time. They made it so hard.
Yeah, and I don't think it was intended to be that way.
It never was. It was intended for us to have rule and have dominion and flow together.
Mm-hmm.
They created this thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
want our show and our podcast to start seeping in and like, look, that's what they say. He said, and in fact, so what? In fact, I'm kind of glad old boy got elected because now we get to see how you respond, how you react to your choice.
Exactly.
See, I don't have
Exactly.
that. There's no reaction or response on my behalf.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't put my energy into that.
Yeah. Interestingly about that election thing, sometimes like how now to go back on something else we talked about, like the fear aspect, fear and, fear is not real. Fear is the premonition of something to happen, but it's not real because it has not yet happened.
False
And so
evidence
there's so
appearing
much
real.
angst. Have you ever been in a situation where, we all have had anxiety? Like for me, one of my things was I have a couple of things. I was thinking about this. Like, two of my fears are getting stuck in an elevator, getting rear-ended on the car, or getting T-boned in the car. Two of those three happened to me. Thank goodness I never got stuck in the elevator too long. I got hit in the back at a dead stop. A car ran into me,
Wow.
and I got T-boned by an 18-wheeler when I was in high school, driving home from school. And car, 18-wheeler like bumped the driver's side of my quarter panel. Car turned around. I'm sliding down the interstate sideways. The 18-wheeler, like I saw the nose of the 18-wheeler jam my driver's door.
Wow.
And ironically, in that state, in the moment, there was a sense of calm that happened because at that moment, I had to respond. And you know what? Like there's more angst before something happens that hasn't happened than there is angst when it happens. So
Yeah.
when it happens, like you're in a position to respond. You have control over how you respond, you know?
Right.
So like in that position, like when I got hit in the back, like the anxiety went away
Because you
because
had
I knew I
experienced
had
it.
a choice. I had a choice as to what happened next. So it's, again, it goes to that fact that fear thing is not real, because when the thing that you fear happens, you notice there's a lower level of anxiety because you're here now. It's now a reality. And what do you do next? The morning after. Are you going to
Uh,
react, or are you going to respond? And how are you going to respond?
and I think that many people, and I'll say this, and as we culminate, many people voted for fear because I mean,
Hmm.
just brothers shopping. When I
Yeah.
broke down the demographics of the voting racial aspect of who voted for who in a majority or a minority fashion, African Americans overwhelmingly, they tried to get the sister in the house.
Yeah, they did.
The others voted out of fear of whether or not she was capable of doing it. And I can understand their trepidation, which is cool, but it's like,
Yeah.
oh, ye of little faith. You would trust Barabbas over the other one. So, but however, it was supposed to happen. But see, they were not supposed to allow fear to apprehend them.
Mm-hmm.
But it did. And
Did.
now what you feared is about to happen. But because I have no fear, ain't nothing about to happen to us. I can promise you that.
You're protected.
Because I haven't been projecting thoughts. See, I realize fear projects thoughts. Fear projects thoughts and it produces things. Now, I just flat out, I don't think of anything bad. I hate to say it like that, like so childlike, but I don't think of anything bad. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think about a car wreck. I don't think about getting stabbed. I don't think about getting stuck in an elevator. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
about getting falling out of an airplane. I don't think about anything. Like, now,
Right.
is it possible? Hell
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm not asinine where I'm like, oh, you
It's nothing
need
going to
me.
happen to me.
I know it's possible.
Right.
Listen, y'all can get mad at me, but with him, all things are possible. And he
Very true.
said he would be an armor around me. I mean, I don't live with murderers, stick up men. I'm talking about these folks were straight up heinous criminals, and I'm sitting here not knowing this, not walking in fear, challenging them like, look, you can say this. I don't really give a damn. I don't even think about, okay, this dude right here will kill you.
Yeah.
Not stab you, not fight you. I said kill.
Just no matter what mood he's in.
Yeah, I
Just to
don't know
kill.
what mood he's in, but all I know is what mood I was in, and it wasn't to deal with no
Right.
dumbness. And it was like,
Right.
man, I hear what you're saying, but this is
All
how
right.
I operate, and I've been doing this before I met you. And guess what I'm gonna do after this? The same thing.
Same damn thing.
He shot somebody, killed him. He in jail. That was his third strike. Never get out.
Oh, he's done.
You see what I'm saying? So when you move in fear, things happen. I'm living with somebody who will kill you. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not walking like, man, I'm scared he may kill me. I don't know. All I know is we sitting here this day doing this podcast talking about the morning after.
Exactly.
And I know what? All I know is I got joy. Joy, joy, joy down in my heart.
It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful place to be, man. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful place.
but I love the opportunity to share, and I just hope that people look at what you've done, get past the regret part.
Yeah.
Whatever gonna happen, it tends to happen. Do
It's
you
gonna
want to
happen.
protect yourself? Start being intentional about everything you do. From here on, you can't go back and fix November, whatever, 2024. The only thing you can do is start from this moment.
Right.
And see, that's the biggest thing my students and I talk about, starting from now. You can take
Mm-hmm.
now and be intentional with your priorities with discipline. And
Yeah.
joy will be there in the
Yeah.
moment.
There you go.
Appreciate it, man. Enjoy the time.
Always, bro.
So anything you want to say to the people, man, before we get out of here?
Nah, just have a great weekend. Everyone be safe out there. For those who, going on the roads traveling for the
Yeah, yeah.
holidays, be safe out there, get back, enjoy fellowship with family, and just enjoy life and be in the moment always.
And
That's where
I'll
your
say
power
one
lies.
thing. Family, how about work on every day? Have an attitude of gratitude.
There you go.
Peace.